Hello learners, this is Ashish. I'll be the instructor for your Arduino programming course. In the previous episode, I have learned the difference between serial print and println functions. These functions belongs to the serial library, which comes by default when you install your IDE. Generally speaking, a library is simply a collection of functions that all have something in common. Now don't break your head if you don't understand these terms. I'll assure you, by the end of this course, you'll be able to define all these. Back to the point, when we were discussing print and println functions, we found that the major difference is, by default, the println function comes with a new line character, which is \n. But in the previous episode, I have told that it's a terminating character. Sorry for that. And the terminating character is \0, which means it's instruction to the function such that is the end of the string. Also, it is called as a null character. This null character \0 gets added up whenever you pass some string to the serial monitor, but it is unseen. This is all about the content of the previous episode. In this episode, you will be learning about variables, literals, constants, and some concepts of data types. Now let's see what are these by an example. There is a small phrase on the screen which says, once there was a man, his name was John. He was 78 years old. He really liked his name as John, but he did not like being 78. Let's just consider the name John and the age 78 as a main data that gets changed all the time. These direct raw values are called as literals. To be more precise, these values aren't stored anywhere and it's for the one-time use. I know you might have got confused. Worry not. Let's see what's really the problem is. So to print the above phrase, we'll make use of print and println functions. Just try to digest this. Here I'm using print and println functions to achieve the task. And let's see how it's actually getting printed in the serial monitor. Let's upload the code to the Arduino board. Yep, this is the same as the above phrase. So we're getting as expected. So what if we want to change the name and the age? Let's get back to the code and we'll change the name to Steve and the age to 86. This has to be explicitly done by changing the code. And let's upload this to the Arduino. And again, we're getting this as expected. But the phrase that we tried to modify was just of 4 lines. What if it was like in 1000 lines? Do that really make sense in modifying the data? That's where the concept of variables comes into picture. Variables are nothing but a container that holds the data. Just think of how your mom stores grocery items inside specific containers. I mentioned this term specific because your computer doesn't really know what data you're storing and what type it belongs to. That's why we need to make use of data types to tell the computer or the compiler what kind of data we are actually storing. In basic, you should know 5 different data types. They are int, float, double, char, and bool. Int stands for integer, float stands for floating point number, double stands for good precision of a floating point number, char stands for character, and the bool for boolean, which is nothing but true or false. Now don't break your head if you don't understand these terms. Why we use these data types? Because humans are intelligent but not the computers, but they are faster than humans with good instructions. That's why we need to provide instructions to make them intelligent. Now I hope that you have got the point. We will be deep diving into this concept in the upcoming episodes. Just know that these data types are used to define the type of the data that we are passing. Getting back to the code, we know that age is an integer value which has no decimal points, so we will be using int age and then we will assign a value to it. And also we know that string is a collection of characters. So in a data type char, we cannot store bunch of characters. So to store bunch of characters, we should instruct the compiler that it's an array. That is done by passing opening and closing square brackets, succeeding to the identifier. In general, these variable names are identifiers that must be unique. There are certain rules that we must follow while declaring a variable that we will see later. So now we have declared these 2 variables and we can use it anywhere inside this loop at any instant. And also we can update the variables with new values. That's the reason it is named as variable. So now we can make use of these variables where the data has to be shown. Let's see how it actually works. Yep, we are getting it right. But you might be thinking, what's the use of this? Here is the use case. When we need to update the value, we don't really need to change the code everywhere. Just change the name or the value in front of the variable name. This is it. This gets updated everywhere. Let's upload this now and then we're getting it right. Identifiers as a variable can be varied anywhere in between the code. Let's see how is that. Right now I'm gonna update the age value below the serial print function and then I'll upload. Yep, it's as expected. The value of the age at the second instance is getting updated. Okay, this is fine. Now what are constants? There is a predefined keyword called const, C-O-N-S-T, which allows us to lock the value of the identifier so that it can never be updated. This keyword has to precede the keyword int, which is the data type. Let's see by changing the functionality of an identifier from variable to a constant and then we'll upload the code. We are getting an error as expected. That's because in between the code we are trying to update the value of the age, which is not allowed. So if you remove this and then if you upload, it's error free. Now you know what are literals, variables and constants. We will learn more about this concept in the next episode. If this channel is helping you to understand the concepts, then a sub to the channel would be stupendous. Thank you.